Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good morning. I would like to begin today's press conference as the official kickoff to Anti-Korruption Week in Kosovo. We will have 8 speakers this morning, beginning with each of the 6 ambassadors of the Quint member states, followed by the representatives from UNDP as a representative of the donor community in Kosovo, and Kosovo Democratic Institute as a representative of the NGO community. Each statement will be 2 to 3 minutes, and I will introduce each speaker prior to his or her remarks. Please note we will not be taking questions this morning, and that we will proceed in English. To begin, our first speaker is Ambassador Deloui from the United States Embassy. Ambassador Deloui.
Thank you. Good morning. Just so beautiful. Thank you all for joining us as we kick off Anti-Korruption Week in Kosovo. I believe the presence of all of us from the United States, the European Union states, the UN Development Program, the USR, and the Kosovo Democratic Institute as a representative of the NGO community highlights how important the fight against corruption is in Kosovo for all of us. We're here to demonstrate our united commitment to action in the fight against corruption. Corruption is not a new problem in Kosovo, and I know the conversation and the search for solutions are ongoing. But this week, for the first time, I'm proud to see a coalition of embassies, donor organizations, and most importantly, Kosovo's civil society, who are turning up the volume, proposing concrete solutions, and compelling action in the battle against corruption. My embassy is proud to be a sponsor and supporter of many activities this week, but more importantly, we are proud to see that from Pristina to Peja, from Jakova to Bila, people are ready to take action to combat corruption. We are here to help, but it's the citizens of Kosovo who must lead and sustain the fight. I want to emphasize my mission's efforts in combating judicial corruption in particular, and my colleagues will highlight other themes. We support Kosovo's efforts to combat judicial corruption through a number of programs. USAID's Justice Sector Strengthening Program is improving Kosovo's legal framework for judicial efficiency and independence, thereby reducing opportunities for undue influence by other government institutions that could affect how cases are decided. Our Department of Justice program works closely with Kosovo's prosecutors and justice ministry to improve capacity and strengthen the legal framework against corruption. As a result of our joint efforts, Kosovo now has a judicial code of ethics that complies with the Bangalore principles, as well as a related regulation defining misconduct to better hold judges accountable. But polls have shown that Kosovo's people still lack faith in the fairness of the judiciary. My embassies work closely with the Ministry of Justice and other stakeholders to draft a law strengthening the capacity of the Office of Disciplinary Conduct, which will be released in public comment soon. This office is the key component for creating trust in the justice system. It is a way to hold prosecutors and judges accountable for misconduct. Thank you again to my colleagues for joining me here today and for your support of many activities throughout the week. Together, we are united against corruption, not only over the next 5 days during Anti-Korruption Week, but also for the months and years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Deloui. Our next speaker will be Ambassador Wietz from the German Embassy. Ambassador Wietz.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To jump right in, my topic is corruption in public procurement, because our embassy has a special focus on investments. We try to get investors, and this is a very sensitive area. Why? Every year, huge sums of taxpayers' money are spent by governments on economic activities, such as big infrastructure construction projects and government purchases. This provides lucrative business opportunities for private companies. At the same time, public procurement may offer wrongful opportunities for government officials to abuse their discretionary powers for unlawful personal gain. With considerable amounts of money changing hands, few government activities offer more opportunities for corruption than public procurement. What are the effects? Corruption in public procurement can be considered corruption on a grand scale involving politicians, government officials, and the private sector. It is also seen as a link to the misuse of power of top-level officials. The leakage of public funds caused by corruption affects the government's ability to provide basic services to its citizens. It also increases the burden on taxpayers. United Nations Global Compact estimates that corruption adds worldwide 25% to the cost of public procurement. On the other side, corruption in procurement can lead to substandard products or constructions that can risk the public health, environment, and personal security. Equally, in the health sector, very relevant, there are many examples of corruption in procurement leading to overpayment for drugs, sub-quality or counterfeit drugs, or substandard equipment purchase. Conflict of interest on the part of doctors. Doctors may have inappropriate links to pharmaceutical firms or have their own pharmacies or clinics. In the developing world, a common human rights issue is that the poor don't have access to even basic services because they can't afford to pay the illegal facilitation payments caused by doctors. More importantly, corruption creates mistrust and inefficiency, main causes of bad governance. Corruption goes so far as to undermine institution building and the rule of law itself by distorting public decision-making. What can be done? Corruption control in public procurement needs to be addressed from various fronts, ranging from preventive mechanisms, criminalization, effective law enforcement, asset recovery, international cooperation, that's why we are here for, witness protection, measures against money laundering, and so on. But foremost, governments must guarantee to provide good quality services bought at a fair price. This means they need strong procurement systems. And what do these systems look like? Above all, they're transparent. This means we can see what is going on. Then we can hold governments, bidders, and contractors accountable for their actions. Good procurement systems are also shaped by clear regulations that meet international standards. Kosovo has these regulations in place, but they must be overseen by strong institutions with clear competencies that coordinate and enforce these rules. Important are also effective complaints mechanisms. These give access to information and let reports suspected corruption confidentially and without threat. Commitments to adhere to high standards of integrity by bidders and government authorities ensure a level playing field for those involved in the procurement process. And finally, according to Transparency International, a fantastic tool for reducing corruption and increasing integrity in public procurement is e-procurement, electronic procurement. Globally, there have been concrete examples, such as in your neighboring country Albania, among others, which show that e-procurement provides not just a leap forward in terms of increasing the integrity of public procurement systems. So I'm looking forward to a week full of events, and German Embassy also offers a series of events on the 8th of December. Thank you very much. and I'm looking forward to what my colleagues will focus on.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Vietz. Our next speaker is Ambassador O'Connell from the British Embassy. Ambassador O'Connell.
Good morning, everybody, colleagues. I'm going to speak a little bit in Albanian, a little bit in English, and break the rules for a second, if that's acceptable. Korrupsionin mbetet shtetin, edhe shoqërinë. Kjo është e qartë më. Është njëri prej kancerëve që minon shtetin, minon të ardhmen e Kosovës. Edhe kjo që di çka ka ndodhur me korrupsionin, por shpresoj edhe jam plotësisht I bindur që me votat, me veprat, me zërët e qytetarëve mund të luftohet. Mos e pranoj kur në çdo nivel, sepse kam minu krejt shtetin. In English, I'm going to focus on one area, nepotism. Nepotism is a funny old word. What it means is giving people the job because you're related to them, because you want to do them a favour, because it's somebody's cousin, it's somebody's sister's aunt's son who's a very good boy and needs this job. But it's the kind of thing that destroys a society. Who wants a doctor who hasn't qualified but just paid for the job? Who wants an independent regulator who owes a favour to the businessman who's linked to the politician who's giving him the permit for that building? And what happens if that building isn't built properly? What happens if that building falls down in an earthquake? Well, that kills people. Professionalism is what a society requires. Good people at every level. And it needs to be fought now, this practice, this idea that people should be employed just because of who they know or because someone needs a favour. That requires political will. But it also requires support, and that's why we in the British government, but together with our colleagues, have been supporting one project to try and help the government and the Assembly with recruitment that's based on merit and not based on nepotism. But we're only going to work with them on 55 positions across the public administration and some of the independent boards. And there are thousands of positions recruited every year, from the lowest level to the highest level, and all of them have to be done on professionalism if Kosovo is going to go forward. And if the young people of Kosovo, who have incredible skills and incredible energy, are going to be given the chance to improve their country. It's in the hands now of everyone in society to step forward and demand an end to the practice and to say we want the good people in the jobs, we want independent people in the jobs. Kam diçka më shti gjuhën shqipe në fund. Le të pretendoj askush, le të mos pretendoj askush tash që bashkësia ndërkombëtare nuk është interesuar korrupsion. Prania e ambasadorëve këtu është një shenjë e qartë që interesohemi edhe jemi shqetësuar për nivelin e korrupsionit. Por duhet më shumë vetëdijtësi edhe kërkesë, energji edhe guximshmëri për zyrtarëve, për qytetarëve, për shoqërisë civile, për medias, për të kërkuar një ndryshim në shoqëri. Po jam I bindur me fuqinë e kosovarëve që është treguar gjatë kohëve më të vështira në historinë e Kosovës që kjo është e mundshme. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador O'Connell. Our next speaker is Ambassador Sardi from the Italian Embassy. Ambassador Sardi.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here representing the Italian Embassy with my colleagues this morning, which marks the beginning of the week on anti-corruption, to show and to demonstrate the international support in this field and our wish and to supporting and to encouraging Kosovo authorities and the Kosovo people in the fight against corruption. Fight against which is, as you may know, an essential part of the rule of law, which in turn is a key area for your European integration process and also to attain some short-term goals that Kosovo is aiming at. Like other colleagues this morning, I would like to focus briefly on tax fraud, which is an integral part then of the anti-corruption. Tax fraud is something that in some cultures is barely seen as a part of corruption or even as some illegal act in itself. Somebody could say in some culture it is just a way to make business faster and smoother. Well, this is not that. This could be a short-sighted perspective on the phenomenon, but in the long run, it's a very distortive and will lead to many problems. I would say just that the Kosovo government has already introduced the 2014-2018 strategy, an action plan for preventing informal economy and inter alia money laundering and terrorism. The informal economy is the area in which mainly tax fraud takes place. That means not paying taxes, avoid finding what somebody could label as smart solution for avoiding taxes, which are out of the law. If tax fraud can cover some, let's say, criminal activities such as money laundering and terrorism financing, it can also be a phenomenon very damaging from the merely economical point of view. Just imagine a country which has an informal part of the economy which is 30% of the GDP. That means, on the average, 30% less in public taxes and funds. That means a state budget which has 30% less of income, of revenues that can be spent to foster the economy or to help those in need. That means that in the long run it is a phenomenon that will lead to higher budget deficit, then to less capacity for the country to reform, to innovate, and to cope with progress and to help the economic development. All in all, it would also be, in the shorter run, a means through which economic competition, fair competition, is hampered and is distorted, because those who can come from the informal economy or those who can evade taxes or tax frauding can sell to lower prices. But so they will have, let's say, probably a higher share of the market, but this will lead to problems for those who are respecting the law. And all in all, tax fraud also means not abiding to rules and standards. That means could mean in turn also that the presence of on the market of goods and services which are not compliant in terms of safety rules, so with problems for the safety of consumers. So my point is that it is not only a criminal offense, tax fraud, but it's also hampering the economic development of a nation. That's why it is also something that has to be challenged and has to be pursued actively for the sake of the future of one country's economy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Sardi. Our next speaker is Ambassador Apostolova from the European Union Mission. Ambassador Apostolova.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I'm pleased to join my colleagues here, stating a very firm and important support for the transparency of financing of political parties on the occasion of the launch of the Anti-Corruption Week in Kosovo. Public accountability and responsibility relies on transparency and oversight. Trust but verify. This is especially important in the democratic process and for political parties vying for the trust of electorate. I am saying that having in mind the local elections yesterday. The EU has, for nearly 4 years now, noted with concern that finances of political parties in Kosovo have been hidden from public scrutiny. With the exception of one party, all parliamentary political parties have failed to publish their financial reports and campaign disclosure reports as required by the law. Furthermore, they have been not submitted to an independent external audit. These principles are enshrined in Kosovo law governing the financing of political parties, which has sadly remained largely unimplemented and not enforced. Voters and citizens of Kosovo have a right to know who finances the political parties and candidates who are striving for their votes, and they have the right to know who these money are spent for the political parties. We believe, therefore, that the publication of all financial reports for the last 4 years should be ensured by the political parties ahead of next elections, be they municipal or national elections. The Central Election Commission should in this regard ensure the enforcement of the law through appropriate means should there be any further delay in providing transparency to voters by political parties. The Assembly of Kosovo needs to ensure that independent audits of these financial reports take place and take all steps necessary to ensure that such audit services can be procured, including by allocating sufficient budget for this endeavor. The European Union, for this reason, together with the government of Kosovo, has enshrined this into the European reform agenda, and we attach very big importance to it, and we are looking at the government and the Assembly to implement it. I am therefore pleased to note that upon my suggestion, the Speaker of the Assembly has convened a meeting of the Assembly Committee Chairs and the Secretary General of the Assembly to start discussion how this issue can be taken forward in a timely manner to ensure that the citizens and voters of Kosovo can finally have the information they need to make as a democratic choice. Ladies and gentlemen, the transparency and integrity of political parties and election processes are of fundamental importance to the credibility and the legitimacy of the democratic system of Kosovo, of respect towards its voters and their trust in those that they represent or seek to do so. I wish good luck to the Anti-Korruption Week, and as well I take the opportunity to invite you to numerous of events which will be organized by our office.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Apostolova. Our next speaker is Ambassador Chabert from the French Embassy. Ambassador Chabert.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm also very glad to be here with my colleagues for the launch of this Anti-Korruption Week. I will focus on the question of the effect that bribery and corruption have on the business. So first, I want to underline that corruption reduces efficiency and increases inequality in the economy. Engaging in corrupt practices also creates a very unfavorable business environment and encouraging unfair advantage and anti-competitive practices, as well as allowing organized crime to flourish. Corruption is one of the primary obstacles to fair economic development in the country. It undermines the rule of law, weakens the public institution, and challenges democratic principles. When resources are weak, the country does need that they could be improperly used. Insufficient resources are available due to corruption to effective run business and maintain its level of operations. When the news about corrupt business professional breaks, customers lose respect and trust. The results of corruption in business usually ends up by feeding black market interests and even support the efforts of organized crime as activities infiltrate various business levels. So, what are the possibilities for Kosovo? First, there are a lot of reforms to undertake. The European reform agenda was presented the 9th of November during the visit of Commissioner Hahn. It stressed out three main pillars. One on improving the investment climate and the business climate in Kosovo. It's very important that this reform agenda should constitute for Kosovo a main task for the coming year. The challenge is huge and no time must be lost to adopt the expected and necessary reforms. So, all through significant efforts are realized these last years, many concrete difficulties remain, in particular for the payment of insolvency, for the obtaining of building permits and of in the electricity sector. So among the challenges of Kosovo, the need to fight against corruption in the private sector is of utmost importance, and only this will reduce the informal economy and generate a real climate of investment. In this context, we should welcome the adoption by the Parliament of the recent law on strategic investment. But further legislative measures concerning the fight against bribery and corruption in the private sector are still requested by potential investors, but at first requested by the people of Kosovo, because it's the people of Kosovo themselves who support the burden of this court in their daily life. So, ladies and gentlemen, establishing a corruption-free market is essential for Kosovo's competitiveness and a vector for economic growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador Chavert. Our next speaker is Deputy Resident Representative Roca Salvo from UNDP. Ms. Roca Salvo.
Good morning, Excellencies, friends of Kosovo. No society has developed without keeping up the principles of good governance, and it is the work of UNDP to accompany a society and the Kosovo institutions on its way of doing so. As you know, we have been engaged many years in this support, and let me just point out that the integrity plans that Kosovo is implementing on municipality level and on central level are unprecedented. None of our neighbors has come to this effect. So a big shout out here for the institutions that have taken on to promote transparency. Secondly, we wouldn't be the United Nations without keeping up the principles. So UNDP, together with other UN agencies, will conduct a review of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And this is something that most of our neighbors have done, and we think that Kosovo should follow suit, and we stand ready to support. As the others have already pointed out, this week is full of events, so you might want to consult Facebook or Twitter, any of the other social media for the calendars, and participate, whether it is the Anti-Korruption Museum or the Anti-Korruption Journalism Award that takes place tonight. The week is totally packed with interesting things. Perhaps most notably, I want to point out that on Friday we will establish, together with the Kosovo Assembly, the Kosovo chapter of the Global Organization of Parliamentarians Against Corruption, or GOPAC. We like acronyms at the United Nations. If I might say so, this is a big deal. Yeah, this is something that globally many other partners have done, and now Kosovo is doing it. There is no need to do so. This is completely voluntary, to set oneself up in a rather in a very well-defined framework with a lot of obligations, but it also means the institutions, the assembly, are ready to go down this path. Let me just close by saying thank you to the government of Switzerland and the government of Denmark, as well as to the colleagues at the United Nations for supporting all of this, and I wish you a very good week and a continued success against corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Rocasalvo. Our final speaker today is Program Manager Kanhasi from the Kosovo Democratic Institute. Mr. Kanhasi.
Excellencies, it's a great pleasure actually to be standing here with you to launch the Anti-Korruption Week.